Once upon a time, two friends joined forces to bring you the best in horror entertainment. Brian from the north, Tim from the south, each bringing their own unique perspective to the horror community. Movie reviews, Blu-ray releases, beer pairings, games, and more. Welcome to your new home for horror. This is Civil Gore.
Hey there, everybody. Welcome to episode 254. I almost said 235. 254 of the Civil Gore podcast. We're just moving right along here.
All right, we're getting up there. Yesterday, it didn't dawn on me on how many episodes we actually did till there was another podcast. I think there was like the I forgot what it is, the Tipsy. I want to listen to them. Oh yeah, it's called the Terrified and Tipsy podcast. We just started following them on Twitter. I haven't got a chance to listen to, but I want to check out their podcast. It's these two women, and they have a good social media presence on Twitter. They seem to post a lot of cool, fun things. Like, they're up to episode 23, 123. And so they had posted the other day, they're like, how many episodes are you up to, other podcasters? And I saw everyone else were like, this, like 91. Oh, I'm up like 50, or this is that. So I chimed in. I said, yeah, we're up to 250. At that point, it was like 252. And I said, plus, that's not counting like tons of the minisodes and our weekly bonus shows. And they were like, wow. And I'm looking at us, I'm like, wow, that is something. I said, how many podcasts we've done? Because it's easily well over 300.
It's well over 300, yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So it's like, and I'm like, that is impressive how long we've been doing this. It's like.
Yeah, and we've been really consistent, I think, putting out a weekly show. I mean, I know we've had breaks. We usually have our Christmas break, and so occasionally we'll have a break in between. But by and large, we have something out every week.
Yeah.
It's very rare that we completely miss a week and not even have at least an interview or a mini-sode or a dismemberment or something.
Yeah, and I mean, there's at least, like, if you want to balance it out, like, still our stuff averages out to at least once a week. Because sometimes we'll have multiple things in a week. Sometimes we'll have, like, even if we skip a week, we might catch up the following week. And the dismemberment kind of adds another episode. So basically, we usually have at least 4 to 5 episodes a month. So.
Oh yeah, definitely, for sure. This week we have I'll give you a little bit shorter episode probably because I don't want to spoil this film. We're doing Crimes of the Future, which is a Chainsaw Award. Our running theme for the next few weeks, at least until the Chainsaw Awards arrive, are doing films that were nominated.
Yeah, Tim had a good idea. It's a good way to double dip and catch up on everything.
Yeah, and especially ones that were nominated. We're trying to cover ones that were nominated for more than one category, which there was a lot of overlap this year. So it's been a good chance to see movies and knock out a bunch of nominees at the same time. And Crimes of the Future is one I picked because it's currently available on Hulu, and we will talk about that coming up. But first, we have our first chop. All right, Brian, I watched a couple that I'm not going to talk about very much at all because they're on our Chainsaw Awards list. So we may be covering one of these or both. We don't know. In upcoming episodes. I don't want to talk too much in depth with them. I watched A Wounded Fawn. That one I was not particularly pleased with. I don't know if I just wasn't in the mood. It had an interesting premise, but it used let's just say there's some stylistic approaches that I didn't care for that one. The other one I watched, which I really, really loved, was The Innocents, which I believe is a Swedish film about these kids who are starting to develop basically superpowers and some of the horrific consequences of that. Really.
Yeah, that was a Jeff Whitmire favorite.
Oh my gosh. The kids in this movie, Brian, I'm not going to lie. These might be the best kid actors I've ever seen.
Oh, wow.
One of the girls plays an autistic girl, and I don't know exactly what her condition is in real life. They said the one article I found said she was neurotypical, so I'm assuming she has some sort of autism or somewhere on the autism spectrum. I don't know if it's as severe as the girl in this movie. So she was phenomenal. There's another little girl that has the vitiligo, where the skin pigmentation is gone. She has that condition in real life, so she has that in this movie. But it lends this authenticity to the movie, this realism to it, and then on top of that, the kids are just extraordinary actors. I mean, even the girl that plays in this that's not, she's basically the normal that you compare everything to because she doesn't have any powers. She is incredible. I mean, these kids are just, have my hats off to them. I've never seen kid actors this good. It was pretty impressive, but we'll talk about that one more. Maybe we'll feature that one at some point since that one was
because I saw it's on my list. I have a list I'm going through as well, like to catch up. I started to trying to knock off some of the series, so that's why I'm still in the middle of Yellow Jackets, which I love more and more every episode I see. I didn't put it on the rundown because I'm not completed with it yet, but I'm still on the march. I'm halfway through them, which I can't remember. Did you watch that show yet, or you didn't? Right?
No, and I'm probably not going to get to it unless unless the Chainsaw Awards are a lot farther out than we think. Yeah. I decided to instead I'm gonna try to focus and see all the movies that I can see, and if I have time to hit the series when I get back, I'll do that. But
yeah, that's the reason why I picked that series though to really push out there is because I think I've seen all the other ones. It's just that one is getting so much press lately in the popularity, and the second season's coming out. Mm-hmm. So, and I haven't heard nobody has ever spoken bad about that series. So I'm like, it's always been on my list anyway. So I'm like, you know what? I now have not an excuse is not the right word, but like now like the push to watch it.
Exactly.
Yeah. So it's like I'm like, you know what? I'm just gonna watch it now. So I can't wait to finish that series as it's really good. And the new series what's great is it's just good when you kind of discover like the first season of a series right before the second season.
Yeah, you don't have to wait. Zoom right like into
everyone
it.
Else, yeah, everyone else has been waiting a while, but. So one of the things that other than that I watched, this is not a horror related item, but it's with one of our friends of the show that we made when we interviewed her for she was part of the 616 Wilford Lane we had like 6 people in that.
Yeah, that was
at least 6 people in that interview. That was a really fun one. That's Allison Gorski, and we've kept in touch with her through social media. And, we just say pleasantries every now and then. And she just had a premiere, and I didn't realize that this was, it's hard to keep track of everything, what was going on. And she just had a premiere of her new movie. It's a comedy. It's called Amy's F-It List. It's the way they have it is F and then ** K list, and it's written over on the logo of bucket list.
Oh yeah, that's nice.
Give you kind of an idea. Yeah, it's kind of funny. It's definitely comedy, but it's also a lot. There's some serious things in it, and she does such an amazing. She is so good in this. I mean, she is. This is like one of those roles and performances that people will like. They really like. People are gonna say like, "Hey, have you seen her?" And then they're gonna go like start watching all her other stuff because she was that good in it. I'll give you just a little synopsis. There's some little twists and some cool plot beats in there that I don't want to give away, but it's basically the synopsis is plain and basic Amy receives news that suddenly turns her world upside down. Together with her outspoken and bold sister Mary, the pair embark on a mission to set things right in the world and reconnect their once long bond along the way. So you can watch the trailer, and it's actually on Tubi. Even though they had the premiere, I went to look it up. I said, "Oh, let me see where I can see it," and sure enough, it was already on Tubi. So I watched it today. Really, really fun movie, and like I said again, Allison Gorski does just an incredible performance in this movie. She's got a lot of different emotions she's got to play into in it, and I think she does it like to perfection. So you should definitely check that out.
Cool.
Next thing, I guess. Well, I have my TUBI trap. I gotta go into.
Yeah, we'll save
and then
that.
we have a promo. How'd we do it last time?
We did the promo first. Yeah, we don't want to sully the promo with a TUBI trap. Intro.
Okay. So we'll do the promo first, and this will be something else. I think we're gonna have some giveaways for this in the next coming week. So also look out for that on our social media. But here's the promo. So brace yourself for a twisted, spine-tingling thriller with Disquiet, now streaming on Redbox. Jonathan Rhys-Meyers stars as a patient who wakes to discover he is trapped in an abandoned hospital by mysterious and sinister forces that have no intentions of letting him leave. Don't miss out on this must-see movie. Stream Disquiet instantly on Redbox on demand today. Rated R from Paramount Pictures. So trapped in a hospital, that's right up Olivia's cup of tea, right?
Yeah. She would absolutely love that, I say, with intense sarcasm.
I know you need to sneak that into the queue and just see if she watches it and see what happens. But yeah, Jonathan Rhys-Meyers is always good. I liked him in Bend It Like Beckham. So he's so that should be a good one. It's so funny every time I read that though, I want to say Jonathan Rhys-Davies, and I'm like, oh, Salah's got some work again. But then it's Jonathan Rhys-Meyers, who's still good too, but he's not Salah,
Yeah.
So that brings us now to our TUBI trap, which was Tim was very kind, I have to say, because he actually picked something that was kind of in my queue already.
Yeah, I felt
Tubi.
like I wanted to be. I had already had every intention of going into this week kind of pulling back from the bottomless abyss that we found ourselves in of potty humor. And I said, we've got to turn this around. It still needs to be a bad film.
Yeah,
but let's not go.
It's still got to be TUBI trap.
Yeah, it's got to be
worthy.
TUBI trap worthy. But let's make it something. Let's gear it more towards a little bit more, I guess, watchable. Which I don't know. I don't know if this was any more watchable. We'll have to see.
Oh yeah, no. This is definitely in the watchable thing. This is called Clownado. And it's one I had on my thing because, of course, I love the Sharknado movies,
right?
You know, and I'm sure this was there was an inspiration there.
There
of course.
was.
I mean, how many things now have been in tornadoes ever since Sharknado, right?
Yeah, there's been fire tornadoes,
and
spider tornadoes.
And there's other different national, like the Lavalantula, two Lantula, whatever, right?
Yeah, two lava,
you had me
two
watch
Lantula.
That. You had me watch that one in my TUBI traps. Tim's really getting me in the horror genre mixed with natural disaster thing here. But so this one actually was in my. I always like a good creepy clown movie anyway. I loved that one we saw. Remember we had Lauren Compton on there. What's the Clown Town?
Clown Town.
Yeah, that was kind of fun. You know,
that
it's
was
like
fun.
that. So I'm thinking. Yeah, so I'm like, this was in my queue for some time on Tubi, and and my Tubi queue is very interesting because it has like a half Tubi trap thing, half like really cool documentaries that Tubi seems to find on there, and then there's some actually then legit, like good movies that they get, like first run stuff. They're started with their originals now. A couple of the stuff that we got the screeners for and had interviews for recently just appeared on there, like The Girl at the Window. That one's on there now.
There's a little side tangent. I heard someone else talking about Tubi, so I have to mention this because so I was watching one of my vinyl record shows on Twitch. There's a guy that called Vinyl Junkies that streams. He basically has 10,000 records in his personal collection, and he streams them. He streams them on Twitch, and he does a music show, and he's kind of a DJ, so he does talking and plays albums and talks about the artists and stuff. Really entertaining show. And he was mentioning, he says, "Does anybody know Tubi TV? Because they have some outstanding music documentaries."
They do,
and obscure music documentaries about just random bands that you would never think they even made a documentary for. So I've been meaning to go out to Tubi and look for these music documentaries because he was really speaking highly of how many great music docs they had on there. So if you're interested.
Well, I remember and I found those ones about the physical media collectors on there, and there's a lot of really cool documentaries on Tubi that they don't like. Tubi doesn't promote itself as well as they should. I think people everyone has their own view of Tubi, and to me, right now, Tubi is one of the best things out there because of it's got the do they take anything that probably comes their way? Sure, but there's also really good stuff on there, and they still have yet to charge you. And it's funny, their commercial, the one gripe I would say, but it's kind of almost its charm is where they place the commercials. Like literally mid sentence sometimes. Yeah. Like so, if you can get by those little intricacies of it.
Even their commercials, even though they have commercials, they're a lot less obnoxious than a lot of other free streaming sites.
Oh my god, it's funny you said that because today when I was watching something on I think I threw on in the background some stuff where I got hooked on the show in the background. I put it on today on Hulu was Best in Dough. It's called.
Oh my gosh.
It's like they get these three competitors. They come on and they have to make pizza. And the first episode was these three Italian nonas, grandmothers, and so the one grandmother was so funny. She was the typical Italian grandmother you see. She refused to because they give you challenges and you have to kind of go to hers was she had to make a pizza muffin and she says no. That is not the way we make pizza. I'm not making a pizza muffin. And she just flat out made a regular pizza.
Oh my god.
It was hilarious. And it was that's what it was. It was trends. So each of the grandmothers had one trend. One had to make a cone, the pizza in a cone. One had to make a pizza muffin. The other one had a pizza something else. I forgot, some kind of meat pizza thing or something. But yeah, anyway. So and I put that on the background. I got into that, but there must have been 500 times I had to hear the commercial for this one singer where it's something like, oh, you don't look good on the inside, but you'll look good on me or something. I don't know what it is, but it was over and over and over again. It was the same commercial and the same commercial break. And I'm like, I said, like, I get why they have commercials, on these services sometimes, to get the pricing level the way they are. But if you're going to play the same commercial and annoy the hell out of people, it can't be doing the proper service to the person who's paying for their ad.
Oh my God, no.
It's like,
no. This is the same way, but
the
other one I'll call out right now is Plex. And we've talked about it before.
Oh, yeah.
They do an ever-increasing amount of commercials the longer you watch. So the first commercial break might be 2 commercials. The second commercial break will be 4. The third commercial break will be 6. And by the end of it, you're watching like 5 minutes of commercials. It's ridiculous. I hate it. I will avoid Plex at all costs. So streaming services, I know they're free, so what can you expect? Yeah. But Tubi does it right, man. Their commercial breaks are just good enough to go get a drink, come back, and finish your show.
Well, today the ones I watched it was an 8-second commercial. I had a time to stand up and then realize, oh shoot, wait, it's back already. So it's like, okay, but yeah. So back to Clownado. Speaking of that, so here's the little. I'm gonna read you the synopsis, and you could just see what I was in for. It says, cursed demonic circus clowns set out on a vengeful massacre using tornadoes. A stripper, Elvis impersonator, truck driver, teen runaway, and a dude get caught in a supernatural battle between Femme Fatale and the boss clown from hell. So apparently, I did some reading of this after, and it says directed by Todd Sheets, and apparently he's known for these type of movies. Like,
I've heard the name, yeah.
Yeah, and he does like tons of gore. But the problem with the gore in this movie is a lot of times it zooms in. And I swear to God, you can't even tell what the gore is, and it's like, there's just parts where they're like, I mean, they use the same like intestines coming out of places, it's the same effect over and over again. So while it's gory and bloody and everything, I mean, it's definitely the repetitive. But yeah, like some of the stuff he did was like, he did do Ouija Death Trap, which was probably his most mainstream, I guess, if you could say. But he's done like Biker Babes from Beyond the Grave, Zombie Bloodbath 3, Zombie Armageddon, stuff like that. Like, that's his kind of shtick. But so the funny thing is, this movie starts off and like the 2 main characters are the sadistic clown, as aforementioned, and I guess his wife who's cheating on him. But it's almost like out of like this 1950s like spy thriller, like that movie they watched in Home Alone with the Mikey says AC says 10%, like they're all talking like that,
really, and
I don't know why. Like, and she's like, I don't know. She's like, well, let me tell you something, baby. You're no good for me. I don't want to see you anymore. And, and it's like, well, that kind of dialogue.
Right.
And I don't know why. But I will say she sticks with it through the whole movie. But the clown, he doesn't. He just goes from that to, like, maniacal clown to, like, craziness. But anyway, so the whole way, I guess what everyone I know is dying to know is how the tornadoes come into play. So basically, in the opening sequence, the killer, crazy clown, which is basically her husband, she's caught cheating, and they kill her lover, and then basically he's going to make her life a living hell, and he's starting to torture her. So she goes to one of her other fellow circus people who's apparently a witch or a gypsy or something, I don't know, and she does supposedly this really strong spell, and it basically now takes him and his evil clown minions there into this swirl of tornado that just appears at places to go after and kill people. And I guess the Elvis impersonator guy, there's been like, this guy has been in all his movies. His name is Antoine Steele. In this movie, and his actor's name is Dion Livingston. But so if you look him up, he's in like all this guy's movies. The truck driver dude is really funny. I know something about him is like super likable. Like he's just like, you like start off thinking he's gonna be like some like rednecky type of guy that's gonna be like kind of like an ass, but he's actually like a really cool dude, and he's like nice, and he's helping everyone out, and he, and so he's kind of fun to watch, and like it's so this movie like turns out to be like this, like the ending is like this quite rollicking ride where they're involving an airplane and And it's like they try to destroy this tornado. They launch like a missile out of the thing, and he actually gets an intense action sequence in here. That's like, I mean, is it Top Gun? No, I mean it's like Bottom Gun, but but still, it's like it actually made this movie, I mean, watchable. I mean, is it going to rank up there in my must see? Not even close, but. Let's put it this way. After what Tim and I have endured through this TUBI Trap, this is by far probably the easiest one I had to watch.
Oh, that's good.
Well,
that was kind of what I was
and
shooting for.
Lavalantula.
Yeah.
And Lavalantula. So I guess there's a theme of movies I can tolerate. And it's funny because you know how IMDb will like underneath the movie, it'll say you might also like.
Yeah.
Well, right under this one is Lavalantula, to Lava to Lantula. So
there you go.
So obviously Tim's right on there with the right.
Now I would hope
mindset.
Somebody who was that generous would return the favor.
Yeah. So yeah, I definitely I got to pick up a good one for Tim. I'm not gonna go as evil as I've been, but I have a couple of good ones in mind for him. I think that'll be fun. I really thought you were gonna like the last one, like at least to some level. Like I thought you did, and you did with like what was his like Joe Bob Lepper, whatever.
Blind Jimmy Lepper was the only good.
Blind Jimmy Lepper,
good part. Well, yeah, I think I would have liked it more had it been a little higher budget, but it was really stretching the limits of my tolerance for filming something in your backyard with your friends type budget. But anyway, so well, I'm glad you liked it. I was
it was definitely
or didn't
not
hate it.
torturous.
I guess is the best praise you could put on a TUBI Trap movie.
Yeah, it was definitely not the torturous level of Death Toilet 1 and 2 that I had to sit through before. So and of course this one had plenty of bubes. So so there's that if you're looking for that in there too.
So let's get to our feature film. This is Crimes of the Future. Of course, David Cronenberg. I believe it's his first feature film in 8 years. When it was released last year in 2022, starring the great Viggo Mortensen as Saul Tenser, which I love that name, Saul Tenser.
Yeah, that's a very for some reason it's such a fitting name for this movie, and I don't know why.
It
I don't
really
think I'll be able
is.
to explain why. It fits. I think it's the way all the people say it in the movie too. Like it kind of helps.
Like Saul Tenser. I'm gonna butcher these names, Brian. Oh my gosh.
Yeah, sorry.
Let's see. Lee is it Leahy or
I think it's either Leahy or Leahy.
Leahy or Leahy. I'm gonna go with Leahy. Leahy Kornowski as Juna, Leah Seydoux as Caprice, Scott Speedman as Lang Dotris, Kristen Stewart as Timlin.
Doesn't Lang Dotris sound like something you'd find in the cantina in Star Wars?
It does.
Like,
these all sound
picture
like
the action figure.
These all sound like Star Wars names to me.
That is true. Yes,
especially
the next one.
Don McKellar as Whippet. Yeah, Nadia Litz as Router. I mean, these are from Star Wars. I'm not right. Tanaya Beatty as Burst and Welkett Bung as Cope. I mean, even the real names are from Star Wars.
Saul Tenser. Like that's like the guy that you could tell like the Rebel Alliance would need to contact somewhere on some planet that like, was going to have the key to the rebellion.
Yeah,
you know?
I mean, all right. So here's the synopsis for this crazy movie. Humans adapt to a synthetic environment with new transformations and mutations. With his partner Caprice, Saul Tenser, celebrity performance artist, publicly showcases the metamorphosis of his organs in avant-garde performances. I knew zero about this movie going in. I had not read a description. I knew
same with me.
I knew Kristen Stewart was in it. I knew Viggo Mortensen was in it. I knew David Cronenberg directed it. That's all I knew.
Yeah.
It was not what I was expecting at all. I don't know what I was expecting. Knowing it was David Cronenberg, I should have known it was going to be freaking crazy weird. But I did not expect what I got here at all.
Like 5 minutes in, I was like, "What the hell?"
Yeah, this...
let's put it this way: one of the best and strongest compliments I would give this movie is you will know 5 minutes in the kind of movie you're getting. You're not going to be fooled. No. You're not going to be tricked into seeing something that you think is something else.
Yeah, and I'm gonna give a high level overview of this because I don't want to. Again, we don't want to spoil it. It's still up for the Chainsaw nominations. I know a lot of you out there want to watch those, so I'm not gonna go through spoilers here. But the gist of the movie is that there are certain humans that are evolving faster than others, and the way they're evolving is they're developing new organs, internal organs, obviously,
which is a very interesting plot.
Interesting premise, and this is kind of I wouldn't say dystopian so much, but it's very bleak future type.
See, actually, before you go on, I don't want to interrupt, but there's this one thing about that, and I don't want to forget it with the futures. Like, I think to me, these movies kind of already make me uneasy because of like, even though it's probably more realistic futures than like the futures you see in the early sci-fi where everything's all clean and pristine. Like if you look at the world today, what gives you a clue that would be the future? You know?
Yeah.
Like this kind of future is kind of what I sadly to say is what I would see more of a future. Like, you know, like with the Matrix and stuff like that. Like, you know, that underground like thing. Like those are the kind of like, or Brazil, you know, those kind of crazy futures and stuff like that. That's I think what we're more leaning towards.
Yeah, that already, unfortunately, that kind of already puts me off the movie from the get go because I really don't like those bleak. There's some exceptions. I mean, I like Blade Runner, obviously.
Yeah.
Because that's a classic.
But yeah, that's what it's too uneasy. It's too like, you know, it's like, you know, I think. You know, because okay, like it's one thing is, and you know, like, you know, you go into horror movies, you know, there's a lot of them are gonna have these bleak, you know, plot points and dark plot points or gore and violence and all this stuff too. But I think when there's a movie that's supposed to be in the future, you know, there's that just like inner like maybe naivete that it's going to be like hopeful for the future. Cause you know, that's what everyone tries, you know, when people are down, they say, well, you know what, there's always a future. You don't know what it holds for you. But when then they show you that's just as bleak or bleaker than it is now, it kind of already gives you this like,
and
you know?
What's funny though is Olivia loves them. She loves movies that are like apocalyptic. The worse the future is, the better. She eats it up. Absolutely.
But so what about if it was all that, but it still took place in a hospital? Could she be swayed into liking hospital horror?
I mean, I don't know, but all I can tell you is she's watched every apocalyptic show on Netflix, on every streaming service. She watches every series, every movie.
And she loves the Resident Evils, right?
Oh God, yeah. She reads all the like zombie apocalypse books. Like the worse the future is for mankind, the better she likes it. And I don't understand it. I am the exact opposite.
But that just shows you're giving her such a happy life now that she you know,
I guess
she's okay with seeing a bleak future.
I don't know.
Not that saying I don't have a good life, but you know, I definitely can be. Tim will tell you I can be he sees my chats. Yeah. I can be very pessimistic at times in the future with certain things.
So that kind of put me off from the get. But the long story short here is that so Saul Tenser, who's played by Viggo Mortensen, he's one of those humans that's evolving super fast. So he's like developing internal organs at a rapid rate, and what he does with them is with the help of his partner, they put on performance art where she does surgery and like tattoos and extracts these as pieces of art that they are then like bottled up and displayed as artwork. Really bizarre premise. It gets into a lot of body horror surgery as sexual arousal stuff.
Like I was gonna say, it's basically what you find out is at some level it's viewed as like a sex show is what they're doing. You know,
exactly. Yeah. And, you know, it reminded me a lot of another David Cronenberg movie, Crash, which I watched years ago. I remember not caring for it much in the same way I did this movie. But it was about people that got sexually aroused from car crashes. So kind of the same, kind of the same thing, like people getting sexually aroused from these really weird, violent act type things. At any rate, Viggo gets involved in, and don't want to go into heavy spoilers, but he gets involved in basically infiltrating an organization that's doing something. I hate to say oddball because this whole movie's odd, but
yeah, I mean, like what's not oddball?
They're doing something a little out of the norm, if you can consider anything in this movie norm. And that's how it goes from there. Both Brian and I thought it ended a little abruptly. It almost feels like. I mean, I hate to say it almost feels like the first part of a trilogy or something, you know, it kind of.
Yeah, like, and I feel like even in this movie, there was like when there was like running out of time because I looked at, and the only reason I looked at the time wasn't because I was bored in this movie because it's not boring.
It's not boring. It's not boring.
Yeah, it's very interesting and it does keep your attention. The only reason I looked at the time is I knew Julie was coming home soon and we had to go do something. So I was like, I just looked at the time. I'm like, oh, wait a minute. There's only 20 minutes left. And he just brought up a whole point.
It's only an hour. It's less than 2 hours. It's an hour 47-minute movie. And just to give you an example of some of the weirdness, the David Cronenberg weird, like they Saul Tenser, his body is so I don't know how to describe it. He's so discombobulated, for lack of a better word, from this evolving he's doing, that he's like he needs a machine to help him eat. So there's this weird like organic furniture that they use.
Oh yeah, that's so creepy.
The chair looks almost like a skeleton, like a spine with bones sticking out, and it basically just like rocks him around. Like in real life, I'm like,
I thought that was like, I took it as it was like helping him like literally digest because his body couldn't.
Right?
Digest,
yeah, it was like moving
him, like you burp a baby or something.
It was like moving his organs. I mean, quite frankly, they looked kind of ridiculous to me. I don't know how to. I guess in some way the cheapness of them made it in a way creepier, but at the same time, I was just looking at this like, this looks like a prop from Spirit Halloween. It really does. It looks that cheap, and I don't know. I didn't get that stylistic choice. Like even there's a bed he sleeps in that helps him sleep because he has pain during sleep, and it's just almost like a sack hanging from the ceiling kind of thing.
Yeah, and then that whole machine that they use, where it's like the control for the machine looks like a almost like this weird like living mouse, computer mouse with buttons in it.
But the effects look cheap to me. Did they look cheap to you? I don't want to.
They did, but I took that as I thought it was supposed to be that way. Like I literally, because if you looked at it, like there was nothing high tech in this movie at all.
I mean, I feel like it had to be intentional because they wouldn't make a big budget movie with these like dollar store effects.
Although there was one really bad effect towards the end where a character is killed. I won't say who or character, but there is a character that's killed, and it's obviously a very bad prop head that I caught my eye, and it took me out of it. So, at that point, I'm like, that's weird to like, because it was so noticeable because it didn't even look like it was a good replica of the guy's head. But so I don't know. I still don't think overall it was intentional. I think that maybe that shot just stood out.
Yeah, I don't know. It's.
But I tell you, I will say this. With with some of the things that like maybe I didn't like about it, it's not a bad film. I'm not going to say it was a bad film. I don't think it's. I mean, it's probably not me and Tim's.
Yeah, I mean, it was
per se.
Fairly well received critically.
Yeah,
I mean, it was fairly well received. Not. Yeah, I mean, if it was a bad film, you'd see people panning across the board. That's actually the opposite. A lot of it.
Yeah, and I don't think we're panning it by any means. I think we're just like saying it like we're just, it wasn't our type of movie.
Right.
And it was, it was well done for what it was, and it's you so many times you see the same old plot. Well, here's it's kind of an interesting piece to the, I mean, obviously Cronenberg is Cronenberg. I always say that Cronenberg. That's like he's still part Star Trek. Well, this movie you can see why I said Borg.
Yeah, he definitely feels Borgian.
Cronenberg. He does have that whole evolving thing, or the things that like what people like perceive now as something different from what it is at the time, like what people get turned on by, what people need to survive, and he's good at that, and he's great at body horror. We know that it's always been his expertise. So the movie itself is very. Like, it's very him, and it's very like, it's not a bad movie. It's just like we said, it's not our cup of tea. But I will say, in terms of, I always like to put, we always try and get the positives on things, and for sure the performance in this were incredible. Like Viggo Mortensen, I mean, he doesn't do anything. He doesn't really do a bad performance, and in this is no exception. She was incredible. I thought Kristen Stewart was a standout on how good she was. Though.
She was. I was kind of surprised at how small her part it was, though.
Yeah, I thought she'd be in it more.
She's not in it very much.
Yeah, but I mean, she did like but I thought like her parts were really good.
She had a weird style to her. She had like this weird like soft voice thing going on. It was very strange. It was effective. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was very effective. It was a very weird stylistic choice. You haven't seen her act in this way before. It's very... before I forget, one of the things when we're talking about the cheapness of the effects, I think one of the reasons it might look that way is because I think he was going for kind of a 1980s aesthetic. It really looks like
Yeah.
a 1980s sci-fi aesthetic in terms
That's
of
true.
the effects. I think that was intentional.
I mean, and it's funny. She did get nominated for the Chainsaw for her performance, which is nice. But it's hard. That's like those two categories for lead performance and supporting performance are really hard this year. I mean, I think for best lead, I have one that I'm putting in. I mean, I've always said it. I thought it was worthy of an Oscar, and I think Mia Goth Pearl is the one to beat, of course, in the best lead. But best supporting has gotten I'm looking at this. I'm like, okay, there's like four people. I think
I would not
put
put Kristen Stewart in that. She would not be in my. There's
really you wouldn't pick her for one of the top in that.
No, not well.
For best,
I'm not saying
it's best supporting.
I'm not saying
the
she
best.
wouldn't be in one of the top, but she would not be anywhere near who I would vote for out of that list.
No, she's not the one I'm gonna vote. I don't think she'd be the one I'd win, but she's definitely in the. I definitely think she's worthy of being.
And I'm not a Kristen Stewart hater. I think she's a much better actress than people give her credit for. But she's not in this movie enough for me to really call her performance outstanding. Like, her part really isn't that big a part, and it's not really that big a range to it either.
Yeah, it's not, but for some reason, it's just like when she came on, I just I found myself really drawn to her sequences.
Yeah.
More than, and I don't know if it's maybe because I guess maybe she's just so like.
Well, she has an interesting stylistic choice in this. I mean, she really does.
Yeah.
It's kind of a cool. I don't know how to describe it. It's kind of a cool character choice she makes during this, which I thought was neat. And I mean, I agree. It was captivating when she was on screen. It's just, I don't think it's her so much. It was the role.
Yeah, it could be. I mean, I don't know. Maybe because she seems like, I don't know, like something that like takes like, because I'm so used to seeing her in other roles, and maybe for her to be in this type of movie kind of like gave me like pulled, maybe made it a little like less odd. I don't know.
If you want to see a good Kristen Stewart horror movie, go watch Underwater. She was really good in that, and she kind of showcased. I know she played Diana in that Spencer movie. I didn't see that. I heard she was really good in that. So I mean, she's a great actress. She's.
Yeah, I don't understand when they do have the hate on her. Like, I know there's a lot of people out there that just criticize.
I think it's
her,
the same as Robert Pattinson from Twilight. I think it's the Twilight stuff carried over.
That's where she gets linked.
Linked to that.
But both of them have proved that they are incredible actors, though. I mean, like The Lighthouse, we saw Robert Pattinson in Batman. He was great. And so it's like I mean, enough's enough already. You can't like. They can't be paying for the rest of their lives for
their first
movie
movies
choice
they did when they were
that
young.
that anyone would have chosen at that time when when you knew that they were going to be big money makers and get your name out there. Of course, who wouldn't take that role?
I think also because she has such easy to imitate mannerisms. So she's kind of the butt of a lot of impressions and stuff. And a lot of people do Kristen Stewart impressions, and I think that's maybe helped fuel that a little bit more towards her than what Robert Pattinson got. But yeah,
she should probably feel better because now it's all Jennifer Coolidge impersonation.
Exactly, yeah,
everyone does.
So anyway, yeah, I am a Kristen Stewart fan. I think she's a much better actress than people give her credit for. So
I agree.
Go in with an open mind. She actually replaced Natalie Portman, who was supposed to star in this.
See, here's the thing. It's like we've definitely seen Natalie Portman in this type of role. And I love Natalie Portman, but I actually think I'd prefer Kristen Stewart in this role too. But I think just the way she did it, I think led to the right feel. What I think that role should have been. But
yeah,
that's just me. I mean, it's easy to say that when you don't see the other side.
But. Yeah. But anyway, I can't recommend this one very much. It's just not for me. It was just a little too weird for me. It's just, I mean, and I'm not a big sci-fi fan. I mean. Aside from the obviously I love Star Wars. I like Star Trek. I mean, but I'm not like that's not like my genre. That's not the genre I know the best. It's not the one I watch all the movies from. I'm a horror guy and I'm a fantasy guy. Horror fantasy. Yeah. So sometimes it's hard for me to get into these that like really far out there sci-fi stuff just kind of gets lost on me. I was the same way with with Westworld on HBO. Like I loved the first season, and then it just like got so weird that my mind couldn't wrap around it anymore. So that's just a personal thing.
Did you like the original movie, Westworld?
I don't think I've ever seen the original Westworld, to be quite honest.
I love the original movie.
It's one of those. That's definitely on my classic films that I have slipped through the cracks. Definitely is on my list.
Oh, we have to do that. Then maybe we'll have to put that on the
we should
list
do that
for this year.
I do want to say one thing. I loved the score for this movie.
Yeah,
Howard Shore does the score. Howard Shore, obviously a brilliant composer. He's one of the top. Gosh, in terms of like top 5 composers that a man on the street could name, he's probably one of them. Aside from John Williams, he's just amazing. So, and this was another collaboration with David Cronenberg. He's done a lot of Cronenberg scores, but I love the score for this movie. And the reason why I think I liked it so much is it's not your typical horror score where there's a lot of like jumps, and a lot of horror scores, even though I like collecting them, they're not great for just listening around the house. Yeah. This one, it's very bleak, don't get me wrong, but it's also very in the style of like classical music. So I would think of it more as kind of a moody classical music versus like a typical horror score that might have like sudden stings and stuff like that in it. And it reminds me of a German composer named Max Richter, who I'm a big fan of. He is a classical composer, modern classical composer. He's still alive. He's actually fairly young. He's only 56. But I love his music. And this sounded so Max Richter-y to me that I instantly latched onto it. Like I could hear that same sound, and I love that. So this one is coming out on vinyl, the soundtrack in March. Nice. So I'm definitely going to pick that one up as part of the collection.
Yeah. I mean, I would still recommend it, I think, to people, because I know, for especially fans of Cronenberg, it will still probably find what they want. I would recommend it with like with the caveat.
Go in knowing you're going full extreme David Cronenberg body horror. Yeah.
And it's you don't expect it to be just because it's the title, like, I mean, actually, you find out the title is like perfect, but at the same time, but still, it's the way, you know what? When I first heard the title, before I knew nothing about the movie, I expected, what's that one? The one with Tom Cruise where like he did where it's like you knew the crimes ahead of time. But it was, that's what I'm expecting. So I'm expecting, it's going to be some kind of creepy like thing where they're going to be able to tell what's going to happen, and they're going to be able to stop it in time and all that kind of stuff. But it was nothing like that at all. So don't go in thinking it's that like I did. Minority Report.
Oh, Minority Report. That was older, yeah. Report. Oh, I loved Minority
Report. What I was like. That's what I was expecting with this title. But it's not that.
Yeah, I love Minority Report.
Yeah, like that. See, that was a good one. Yeah, but it's not this. Yeah. So I did find a good beer pairing though.
Oh, yeah, definitely want to hear this.
Yeah. So, and more so because it's not even so much the beer, the description itself, but I added for the first time ever, Tim, look at the can and the artwork.
So let me describe this if you guys can't see it. The can is basically like a skeleton spine with the ribs and everything. And it looks like, I don't care if it was like a flower or something coming out. It almost is like a blood burst coming out of it, but I think it's a flower or some sort. But
yeah, and it's like almost like it looks like a screw, even the way that the spinal cord.
Yeah, there's a screw going into the spinal cord. Yeah, this is perfect artwork.
So basically, when I saw that, I'm like, oh my god, this is like this is the most unusual but perfect beer pairing ever. But and it's actually by a brewery I've had some from. It's really good, and it's in Burlington, Vermont. Anyway, the beer name is called Pop Crimes, and it's a triple IPA. Actually, it's by Foam Brewers, which if you've not had Foam, it's a excellent brewery. I've never actually been to the brewery itself, but around Vermont, all the restaurants seem to carry all the Vermont beers. Mm-hmm. And I remember with our last trip to Vermont, we went to this like pub, and I remember it was the best burger I've ever had. But they happened to have a foam tap takeover kind of thing where they had about 6 different things, so it was almost like I went to the brewery.
Oh, nice.
And I had some of their stuff, and it was phenomenal. But it's a 10% triple IPA, dry hop with Citra and Enigma, tropical and resinous notes, surprisingly soft considering its high ABV. This beer is our first take on the triple IPA in cans. So Foam's their first thing. So I'm gonna have to hunt this one down, only to just also want that can. That's
a really cool can,
artwork on the can.
He likes these cans.
I know. Hey, look out for the cans. He wants these cans.
Well, we are proud to present the return of Fantopic Foo.
I forgot to put it, but it was Cody.
Yeah, Cody
sent
this one in, and we got some backup options actually that we came up with. Not that we came up with, we found that were like good conversation starters.
Oh yeah, and I think that's gonna be like I gotta actually transfer. I'm gonna put it into a Google Doc for us, because I just have the image. Someone posted it on Twitter, and I'm like, oh my god, Tim, look at this. This is like our next like 20 backup. Fantopic food.
So the Fantopic food question. This is a great one. Says, do you think it would have been better if they had only done Halloween 2018 and not the whole trilogy? Or if they had combined all 3 scripts into one movie and had Michael actually die in Laurie's house fire?
Well, we know. Now, be careful. We have to. We're gonna have to put this on the thing along with the explicit warning. There may be a red Tim warning.
Yeah, and I've got my red shirt on too, which is not good.
Oh,
no, I'm not gonna get angry at this one. I don't.
It's a great question.
It's a great question. Would okay? Let me see how I want to answer this. First part. Do you think it would have been better if they'd only done Halloween 2018? In hindsight, yes, because I didn't particularly care for kills or ends. And I think I would have been happier if they had just stopped. With Halloween 2018, he's in the fire, he's dead, whatever. And then if somebody else wanted to come along and make another Halloween movie, which they inevitably would, then I think I would have been okay with that. And I would have taken it as it comes. If they had combined all 3 scripts into one movie, I don't think they could have, because I think they had so much extra baggage and stuff going on. What I really wish they had done is planned out a trilogy from the start instead of doing one movie, seeing if it was successful, then doing a second movie, and then like just changing their mind between every movie. Like I wish they had had a trilogy planned from the beginning, with the idea that if the first movie didn't succeed, they could have just stopped it there. Which they could have.
Yeah, like they could have. Movies do that all the time.
They do that all the time, and they could have
work into that it could be a satisfying ending and could also be.
And I feel like Halloween 2018 was. I think that would have been it would have been the ending we all wanted. Maybe not, but it would have been a satisfactory ending for if that had been a one-off. I'd have been fine with it. And
one that like you said, if someone decided to pick up, they could have continued right from that point.
Yeah, and even if Jamie Lee Curtis didn't come back, at least it was a self-contained, hey, this is a direct sequel to the original Halloween, and you can look at this as its own universe and its own timeline, which they do for all the Halloween movies, and it would be Halloween and Halloween 2018, self-contained, and you're done. If they were going to do 3, they should have had it all mapped out from the beginning. They obviously didn't, because there's interviews after interviews talking about how they were just throwing stuff at the wall during this last movie. Yeah. So it's just,
when you hear that, it's like inexcusable.
It's very frustrating as a fan, and we know this from the Star Wars trilogy. Yeah. It's inconceivable to me during the Star Wars trilogy.
It's inconceivable
that they didn't have that mapped out when every freaking Star Wars series has been a trilogy. You know it's a trilogy. It follows a set of rules, and you still didn't do it. And it boggles the mind. I could kind of understand it for a horror franchise like Halloween. I can't understand it for Star Wars, but the fact that they did what they did, I can't. I can't. Like, is there nobody that's a fan of pop culture that's in the room with these guys? Is there not one person that can stand up and go, you know what, this is a really bad idea? You guys are going to ruin
I'm
this.
Definitely more tolerant of the Star Wars because I love everything Star Wars. So it's like I'm much more tolerant of it than Tim was. But yeah, I really as I think back, as I'm distancing from it, I just wish they would have been more of like they had to write all the pieces perfectly. Like I loved all the new characters and everything. I just kind of wish that it was. Like you could definitely see where they tried to. Like I will say though, I think. There's some parts that still bother me in Last Jedi and Rise of Skywalker, but not enough to ruin the movies for me. But just like, and it was one thing. Some of the things I didn't notice about it until it happened. Like I didn't notice that literally after that scene with Kylo Ren talks to Han Solo on the old ravage of the Death Star, and then he goes to rescue. He doesn't speak another line the rest of the movie, and it's awkward. Why doesn't he say anything to Rey through that whole thing? Nothing. He just gives her
the
looks
whole movies
the
are
whole
full
time.
of stuff like that. It's like, oh, we'll introduce this character and then we'll just kill him off in the next movie, and then we'll pretend. I mean, it's just ridiculous. Like you don't.
Yeah. I mean, But there's also one other problem with Star Wars that it has is that there's way too much. The social media did this. There's way too many people that pop in things, and then to the point where ahead of the movie time, so you don't know what to expect, and then someone actually hits like this thing, some cool idea that's like, wow, that's awesome, and then when it doesn't happen, you feel let down, and it's only because you bought into someone else's like idea. So it kind of does. It sways it in that way, but like stuff like that, like the things like why wasn't there not, they couldn't have worked in a line for him to say, like, it's so awkward that he doesn't speak for the last 20 minutes you see him in the movie.
To steer it back to Halloween, here's the thing though, I can understand it with Star Wars because he had different directors, but Halloween had the same director for all 3 movies. So it's inexcusable that you don't have a through line, and he even movie is totally different.
Didn't he? I remember, because I went to 2 of the test screenings of those things, and I remember one of them where they were like, after I saw a lot of people were saying, they said like, he had like, if the first one does well, I have ideas for 2 and 3. So where did those ideas go? Like, and how did it just like, were they not strong enough that you didn't like them and you threw them out, or did you or was that you never really, you just had an idea you wanted to do 2 and 3 and you just
I think he's one of those, I think he's one of those directors that's like, we can't just stay the same style, we have to change things up, and he's like, I'm gonna make this one a romantic comedy and this one's gonna be an action film, and this, I'm like, I can't stand people like that. I like, just do the damn movie as a fan would. And not stop trying to impress us with your artistic prowess. I guess directors are just kind of like that. They're all kind of...
because you're not really good. You're going to grab the wrong... You're going to alienate the audience that you need to keep. But you're still not going to get the audience that you hope to get. Because you're not going to get the artistic... you're not going to get these like Academy Award people that like... that vote for these movies that nobody ever gets to watch, and and you only hear about them on the night of the award show, versus, you're not going to pull that guy in to see Halloween Kills. I'm sorry, no matter what you do.
Yeah.
You're not going to get that guy in to see it. I don't care if everyone raves about it, and how good it, like, you get one guy that somehow saw it and he says, oh, this is a tour de force. You're not getting those guys.
I'd rather have some damn new director straight out of film school that has nothing to lose to do these movies, versus having somebody that's going to go in there and try to be all, let's shake things up and let's flip the formula on its head. I can't stand that. Like, just put in a rookie dude that loves Halloween. Like, find the biggest Halloween fan out there and let him direct the damn movies. That's just ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah, and so here's the thing. So like my answer to this is a little bit like, it's basically like almost like a different option. I've said this when we did the roundtable, and I've said this a couple of times. I think if you would have taken parts of Halloween Kills and parts of Halloween Ends and transpose them a little bit, I think it might have been a little bit like the ending of Halloween Kills. Like with the whole town going after him and all that stuff. And I know it was a little bit too much Evil Dies Tonight whole mess. But if you would have done that ending and then just ended it there with him dying that way, and then you could still tack on the whole Jamie Lee Curtis. She could have been part of that mob, let's say, and like she could have been maybe the final death blow or something. And it could have been, and it could have still ended with her going off to see the poppies or whatever the hell she was seeing with
the cherry blossoms.
Will Patton, the cherry blossom. I mean, like, they could all had all that in there. And then if you wanted to put the Corey and like the Allison that we saw in the third one, I think fit better in the second one a little bit, where she was a little bit weirder.
Mm-hmm.
And I think you could have done the Corey, if you really felt the obligation to put this Corey character in, or someone else that had to be like the Michael Myers character, in between. And that would have also made sense why he was a little weakened after the fire, and then he could have like gained strength by the third. Like, you could have just, like, I would love to someone, had like what was it, Elijah Wood? Was he the one that did that? Like where he did the whole recut of
some guy's done a complete recut of,
or is it Topher Grace did the recut of the Star Wars?
Yeah.
He did a whole recut of it or something like that. Like,
Because
I'd love to someone take all three of these and like just kind of edit it together.
Well, think about the mob
in
from
different order.
Halloween Kills would have made more sense in Halloween Ends.
Right.
Like you would see the town slowly getting crazier and crazier until it leads up to the end of Halloween Ends where they kill Michael Myers. Like the whole movie should have been swapped. It's almost like the third movie is like, oh crap, we forgot to do that. We forgot to do that.
Yeah, like I guess my answer would be that, or like in all honesty, just have the first Halloween 2018 and Halloween Kills, and that's it. And maybe make Halloween Kills a little longer or something. But yeah, I think or like you just it's you can't. Like, I hate when they in a final finale of a movie they introduce something that didn't need to be introduced and let it take then hijack the movie.
The whole movie was introducing new concepts that had not been precedented before, which is ridiculous. Yeah, and you can't do that.
You're supposed to wrap it up. Yes, everyone knows that was the end. The goddamn title is.
Well, you have to follow your own rules. You broke every rule that you had already established in 2 movies.
Plus, he didn't get out of the cock-a-doodle car. No, sorry.
Oh, and by the way,
I've been thrown by Kathy Bates.
As much as I love John Carpenter, I'm not voting for Halloween Ends for best score for the Chainsaw Awards because I will not give that damn movie one award, not one.
Wait, was Crimes of the Future that wasn't nominated?
No, that wasn't nominated for best score, which is ridiculous.
And see, but maybe we should replace
it.
But
they'll put A Wounded Fawn for best cinematography. That movie looked like garbage. Sorry. We'll go into that on our roundtable for.
I think that might have been intentional, but
it was intentional. It looked intentionally terrible. I don't know why you would put that as.
But I thought Josh Rubin was great in it. But,
no, I'm trashing on the cinematography, not the performances.
Yeah. No. But yeah, so this was a great question, Cody, and this is going. I mean, this debate I think will go down in the annals of civil war.
Cody, you still managed to bring out Red Tim, even though I was trying to keep him tamped down.
Yeah, you found. Yeah, I mean, we need to get him back. We need to get him back down to more fuchsia Tim, so he can go to bed.
It's like the Hulk. Sometimes I can't control it. You know.
Yeah. So one day though, think about it. There's going to be that like combination where Tim's just wearing like this like red shirt, and he's angry, but he's also very calm.
And I got my reading glasses,
like Smart Hulk.
Smart Hulk. I won't be smart. Yes, I'll be Smart Tim, but
Smart Red
Tim somehow. I don't know. That day has not yet come.
Well, we haven't reached it. We haven't lost to Thanos yet.
I've had a bad movie week as our text feed as well aware. Yeah. I've had a troublesome movie week, although it's getting better. The ending is starting to ramp back up because I watched Rambo 3, which made me happy, and then I watched The Innocents, which was awesome. And so now I'm going to end on a high note. I just got to keep it there.
Yeah, I bought the whole Rambo the Rambo set on when they had it on the Best Buy sale for Black Friday.
I had never seen everybody's going to laugh at me, but I had never seen any of the Rambo movies all the way through before last year. Not a single one. Wow. I'd never seen First Blood. I had seen parts of Rambo 2. Never seen Rambo 3.
See, I still haven't seen the last one. The most
I had not seen them, so I was like, I got to rectify this. I love First Blood.
First Blood was
it was incredible. And then I really enjoyed Rambo 2. I actually enjoyed Rambo 3 to an extent. I mean, for what it was.
That's a very underrated one. I think a lot of people like I know people love that one, but it's like it doesn't get enough like this discussion. I think
it was a solid 80s action flick. I mean, there was nothing wrong with it. And then I have not watched the last 2. I mean, I've heard not great things, but I'll watch them for completion's sake. And then after that, I'm going to do the whole Rocky series. Now, I have seen all the Rockies except for...
I got to watch.
I've seen all the Rockies except for the Creed, which I consider part of the franchise.
And now the third one's coming out.
Yeah, so I wanted to watch... I was like, you know what? I'm going to do a full Rocky rewatch, but then I'm going to go right into Creed 2, and then I'll be ready for Creed 3.
Yeah, all I need to see right now, currently, I mean, obviously I didn't see Creed 3 yet, but I need to see the Rocky vs. Drago, like the recut. I need to see that.
Oh, there's a recut. I didn't know about it. What is this?
Yeah. So he basically, there's a breakdown of all the changes he made. He basically made it so more to base it off of, more him and Apollo's friendship. They wanted to cater to it because he basically took out all the robot stuff, the happy birthday Polly, like that robot. They took out some of the silliness, and there's a lot more build up to why Apollo wants to fight, and It's a lot more.
Is it available for
like,
streaming? Is that just like a Blu-ray?
You can rent it. You can rent it, and you can buy it. I think on Amazon.
Is it called Rocky versus?
I'm just
Drago?
waiting for the Blu-ray because I have all the Rockies and I love all the Rocky a million times. And that Rambo set, I got $12 for all 5 movies on Blu-ray and digital. It comes with both. I picked it up. I couldn't resist that price point. I mean, $12.99 for that.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I think that's what I'll do because I've seen Rocky 4, but I'll watch Rocky versus Drago instead of that one. Yeah.
Well, it's funny because Rocky 4 is. I love that movie. I remember I loved the teaser for it, and actually one of the sequences in the teaser that I thought always was so cool. Apparently, he put that the line that was said in the teaser trailer, the original teaser trailer that wasn't in the actual movie, was now in the is now back into the regular. I don't know if you remember the original teaser where it was like. I remember I think I told this story before where there used to be this channel that showed all these movie trailers on. It was like a UHF station,
Mm-hmm.
and I remember that's where I first saw the Back to the Future teaser, and the Rocky teaser. I remember for Rocky 4, it was just zooming shots. It was going up on his body, and it was going my name is Ivan Drago. He goes, I am a fighter for the Soviet Union, and he just says this whole thing, and at the end he goes, and now all the world will know my name. And he says it like that, and that's when it goes dan, 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 and then it just shows the fist crash like it did in the opening of the movie, and so then apparently in the Rocky vs. Drago cut, that he says that in one of his during the press conference. Remember he doesn't speak in the press conference in the original. In this he says something, and I think he says that. And apparently I think the fight between Rocky and Drago is a little bit I think Apollo tries to, before he gets the death blow on him, I think he does a little more fighting back even or something, and then so it's they said when Rocky actually drops the towel or something, it's it's a lot more impactful.
I remember seeing it in the theater, and I remember coming out ready to kick somebody's ass, and I was like, "What? When did that movie come? When did Rocky 4 come out?
Oh my god, 84 or something?
85. So I was 11 years old, and I was ready to take down anybody, boy. When I came out of that movie.
And that was, and those Rocky movies in the theater were great because especially the final fights were always the whole audience.
Oh
would be cheering.
I saw.
I saw 3, 4. I saw all of them.
I saw 3, 4, and 5.
From 3 on, I saw in the theater.
Yes. Same with me.
I didn't see 1 and 2 in the theater.
I was too young.
I saw those on cable. But...
Yeah, I the first one I remember seeing is 3 because I love Mr. T. And then
it had Mr. T and Hulk Hogan in it. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
That's not the best, the typical 80s Rocky movie. And I mean, and that one even has its problems, but there's something about the Rocky movies that I just forgive everything about it. I don't
It's
care.
the same with the Rambo
so
movies. I don't really care. I mean, there's some any 80s movies, there's some troublesome aspects of looking back on them, but it's one of those things that you kind of just I turn my brain off and I'm right back as a kid again watching those movies. It's I don't know.
Oh yeah, I mean the one thing that always bothered me about Rocky 3, and it wasn't until years later I had realized it, is look how well the way he talks in Rocky, and then Rocky 2, and then Rocky 3 he almost is perfectly speaks. Clearly he's not as much Paulie, I don't know, but he's a little bit much more I mean, I know they were trying to show that he's, he got wealth and he got fame, and so he he made an attempt to sound, but then by Rocky 4 again, he started to get all that Rocky again, and then 5, forget it, he was all over the place, with his when he went back to the streets of Philadelphia kind of thing, but it doesn't matter. I love them all. I love every one of those movies. I watch them anytime they're on. I usually sit and finish it. I mean, it's the basis of so many other movies we saw. I mean, it's like Jaws. Well, they'll say oh, it's like Jaws but in space or something. Well, this it's like Rocky, Karate Kid. I think Karate Kid.
Karate Kid was totally
Rocky.
Totally a Rocky ripoff, basically.
And think about it, Rocky lost in the first movie. People you got so used to him doing the final fight and winning that you forget that he actually he lost in the first one. But that wasn't what about it was. The whole point was he triumphed. He went like a nobody, went the distance with the heavyweight champion. And if you notice, it's brilliant filmmaking how they had the announcement of that in the background.
Yeah. Now this has been the Rocky podcast.
We went off to the Rocky podcast. Yeah.
We're gonna have to do a 80s spinoff 80s movies. I miss Chips, Dips, and Dorks. I miss that podcast.
Oh no! You know what? I still in touch with some of those. We still know a couple of them, so I should maybe we should see if they want to come back like as a one-off with us.
That'd be
like
awesome,
we'll come on because we can get Mike and Izzy. Still talk to Josh, and so maybe we can get all those guys together for like one episode.
Yeah, Chips, Dips, and Dorks was we talk about Coaster Radio. Mike from Coaster Radio was part of that crew, and they had a great 80s podcast. Where they went through a feature 80s movie every single week, and it was amazing. I loved it.
Well, and one of the best moments is I almost like pretty much all of them, I think, except one of them, were there at that Mike's opening party that I went to at his tiki bar, and I was there, and it was like I was in heaven. I was like, all right, here I'm talking about Coaster Radio, I'm talking about Chips, Dips, and Dorks. That was like the best. Yeah, those guys are as awesome as they sound on the air. So yeah, and that I was so sad when that podcast ended, because that was like such an awesome podcast.
It was. All right, guys. Well, we'll see you back here next week probably with another Chainsaw Award nominee. Don't know which one we're going to do yet, but we'll pick a good one, and we'll see you soon.
See ya.